Welcome back to the Hey Beauty Podcast. I am Seraphiend Rocha.
And I am Chelsea Atia.
We are back, and I am so excited to be talking all things Euphoria.
It's all that anyone can talk about right now.
I love it. So as you know, at the Hey Beauty Podcast, we are all about each month kind of exploring things that are kind of giving us good vibes, whether it be music or fashion, TV, whatever it is. And guess what? Euphoria encompasses all of those things.
Yes, it does.
So this is crazy. This show has taken off. I mean, to the point to where just in the past 3 to 4 episodes, the viewership of Euphoria has actually doubled.
That's wild. And you know what I think that this is attributing to is social media.
100%.
Because I was one of the people that heard about Euphoria first season, maybe watched an episode and I was like, couldn't get into it. And then after I see all the trends on TikTok, all the people recreating makeup looks and hair looks, I'm like, all right, let's see what this is all about. And now I'm hooked.
I'm totally hooked. It's funny because I had the same reaction. I watched like the first episode and then I was a little bit like triggered by some of the stuff that was on that first episode. But then the acting, the fashion, the music.
The music is amazing.
I cannot wait to dive into the music here. Yeah. But the season 2 premiere of Euphoria has drawn 13.1 million viewers, which is insane. Episodes 2 and 3 and 4 tracking similarly. And this is according to HBO. And that means that it's close to over 100%, which is the 6.6 million average audience size that was that they were drawing in season 1 during the summer of 2019. So again, if you're thinking about like COVID, how it hit, and like now that we're getting double that, I mean, it's insane.
But it's totally, I know why though. It's such an amazing storyline. Like you said, the music, there's just so much to look at. Like the cinematography, oh my God, like the different scenes. I mean, this is art. Every single scene is art.
It really is.
The lighting, it's incredible.
I mean, season 1 was interesting because, you know, from the very beginning, it has this kind of like ruddy, dark, kind of grim 90s grunge feel.
Yeah.
And season 2 became a little bit more stylized, which
absolutely
I appreciate it because we have these kind of moments that are in a drug haze, right? And when you're in a drug haze, like I feel like they're kind of conveying that dream-like feeling that your brain is in. So everything looks a little bit more pretty. And then coming out of it, when you're sobering up, they know how to do that beautiful balance in all of it. So Sam Levinson is the main director of it, and him and Zendaya or is it? I always say, is it
Zendaya?
Zendaya. It's Zendaya. I always want to say Zendaya.
Okay, it's all the drama. I love it.
I know, right? They've become like a partnership now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really collaborating.
On the same page, and you can tell.
Totally. Yeah. Totally. So let's kind of go into like right away, like some of the things that first go into music. We've got to go into music. So Labyrinth is this amazing artist that has just kind of been catapulted into the spotlight because of Euphoria. He's an R&B, hip hop, electronic, considered grime soul. I love the name of this, of like what they put him genre-wise. He's a British singer and he's from Hackney, London. And I did not know this, but he is in a super trio called LSD with CO and Diplo.
Really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that either.
I mean, I just looked it up and I was like, all right, I got to listen to this album because I love Sia. Diplo is amazing. He also co-wrote Beyonce's Spirit from the recent Lion King that she did. And he's
a musical genius.
Right?
Like absolutely
all over the board.
Musical genius.
He produced for Rihanna and Beyonce. And I found this really interesting quote, like this, it was a little bit back and forth in an interview he did. And, you know, it was basically them talking about where he got his inspiration for the music. Because Sam Levinson came to him and was like, look, I want you to start to make an original score for it. So there's a scene that he showed Labyrinth with the glitter tears.
Yes.
Hence your makeup. So badass. And he said, yeah, the glitter tears. There's a moment in the first episode where she talks about her experience of going through anxiety while she's high and while she's having a trip. When I watched the first episode, I just got inspired to start writing lyrics about being high, no sleep, getting lost in what you're doing, just kind of being out of it, you know? I wanted to write a record that expressed it sonically as well as lyrically. And there is this moment in season 1 where Rue mentions, like, there's 2 seconds of nothing. And that's how she feels when she's during high. It's like her favorite moment. And he goes, yeah, it was a moment. Yeah, it was really beautiful. And of course, seeing what Sam's doing visually was so inspiring. I was sending him tracks every 5 minutes and he was like, Lab, I think I've got enough. So this was a quote from Rolling Stone, but it was so cool that the visuals had so much to do with him orchestrating the music. When you first heard it, what was your reaction?
When I first heard the soundtrack?
Yeah.
Or listened to the...
Just like the feeling of the music for you.
I can tell that everything works together because the music is so perfectly matched to what's going on and what's the scene. Like, I think we've talked about this before when we discussed movie reviews, and we talked about, like, the cell phone rating, like how likely are you to stay on your cell phone watching this. Mine's at whatever is 0. If it's like not looking at my phone at all, I'm not looking at my phone at all because I love the visuals, the sound. Like, I feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
I really feel like I'm in, like, these are my friends. Maybe even I'm a Rue or Zendaya because she's narrating it, but it's really like.
It's immersive, isn't it?
100%. That's a great word.
It's
immersive.
Crazy. I feel like, Sam Levinson, when he was talking to Labyrinth, he said he wanted a score that had hip hop influence and like a gospel orchestral kind of vibe to it.
I get it 100%.
And guess what movie I thought was really interesting that both him and Labyrinth were like, we want this feeling when you're in the movie. Guess which movie?
What movie?
Soundtrack wise, Edward Scissorhands.
Really?
Which I thought was so badass.
That's cool.
Because Tim Burton, I remember when I first saw the movie, like that like operatic, like all they're saying is like,
absolutely,
like that, ooh, like it's this angelic kind of vibe going on. And I feel the same way about a lot of the stuff with Labyrinth's music, but also there's such a darkness in it too.
100%.
So
that's so cool that someone can give us such a clear takeaway from their music just without, if you take away the visuals, maybe the visuals do help because we've seen it, but just listening to it, it gives us very clear visuals of like what is going on here.
And it speaks to your emotions.
Absolutely.
It literally is like the exclamation points in the acting are like it gives it such a beautiful vibe. And I found this great article for you guys who are listening. If you're a big music nerd like I am and Chelsea, I use a lot of music in my yoga classes, Pilates and bar. And a lot of times I've got my phone out and I'm Shazamming right away. But what I found was this really cool article. Let's see where it was. It was in Elle, and it was tracking the songs in Euphoria season 2. And this is so cool because it literally describes in the episode like where you listen to it, and then it gives you the track list. So, this season we've had everything from obviously Labyrinth, who is the go-to, but then we have like 90s vibes because we had the whole thing
with the Cal.
With the Cal episode,
yeah.
And
Cal.
Yeah,
Kale.
I know it's like me and Zendaya. But Cal's episode with NXS, such great music in there. We have Montel Jordan. This is how we do it.
Yes.
They
do throwbacks.
They do. They have so. They even have Don't Ya, the Pussycat Dolls for the birthday scene. So many good pieces of music. And then the one piece of music I was like, wowed by was the scene with Cassie, and they pulled out an old Sinead O'Connor song.
The one with her in the balloons?
Yep.
That is one of my favorite scenes of the whole series so far.
It was so well done.
It was so, like, I just got goosebumps thinking about it. It was.
The acting in that scene was incredible.
Yes.
And I mean, again, the music absolutely just highlights everything. So check out the article. It's on Elle.com, and it is called Tracking the Songs in Euphoria Season 2. I promise you, you will have so much fun going through the music and downloading stuff you might not have, or Spotify.
Mean, like I said, there's a reason why everything is like so heightened on social media. Like every single one of Labyrinth's songs from Euphoria is trending right now. Mm-hmm. All the makeup transitions and clothing transitions is all about Euphoria. I mean, it's crazy how this show is taking over social media. It's like the perfect storm.
It's crazy. Let's get into the clothes. All right.
Yeah, we got to.
Heidi Bivens, she's the head costume designer for Euphoria. She started at W Magazine and Women's Wear Daily and was a fashion stylist to Purple, Vogue, and then ID Magazine. In the beginning, it's so interesting because she really wanted to talk to like a realistic high schooler's budget. Mm-hmm. And then when Sam Levinson was like, let's get a little bit more experimental in season 2, a little bit more iconic. Yeah. They even changed their cinematography. They're using film. So that's why it has that grainy effect. And they're doing lots of slow moving portrait style moments with them.
That's what I'm saying. Every scene is like a work of art.
Oh, it gives you, again, goosebumps.
Like that scene with Cassie when all the flowers are around her, and the scene of Jules the scene of everyone, I think
At the party.
Yes. And everything is black and it just highlights them.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It was amazing how they literally had a spotlight on them with the shadows and the slow motion dancing.
Goosebumps.
I know. It was beautiful. Heidi, it's funny because I was like, God, her vibe in this right away in my brain, I went to Spring Breakers, and she was a stylist for Spring Breakers.
No way.
Yep. And Inland Empire. So you can totally understand she loves that Y2K 90s aesthetic. So first season, if you remember, Rue was just kind of in that burgundy hoodie.
Yes.
And in season 1, or I'm sorry, in this episode 1 of season 2, she's in a vintage Jean-Paul Gaultier long sleeve printed t-shirt, which is pretty
really
outside the box for Rue. But I thought it was so badass that was one of them. And then I have the Harper's Bazaar that is from December and January. And if you are watching, I'm going to hold it up. This is of the beautiful Hunter Schafer. I mean, this woman is showing trans women where it's at.
She's so beautiful.
She is
and
so
such
iconic.
A great actress.
She really is. God. And I'm so glad that they changed the vibe of Jules. She had that
me too.
Sailor Moon kind of little girl vibe that was a little creepy, but I understand that they were kind of giving her, I don't know, it's like that, I don't even know. And they're steering away from, I think, that heteronormative look of this is what's going to please men.
Yeah.
And they're giving her.
That's true.
They gave her this season a way to have more of an experimental true to her look, with a Kurt Cobain bob.
Yes.
That was so badass.
I love it. She's has it on the cover of Bazaar too.
Oh, I mean, it brings out all of the beautiful facial features.
She has such a striking jawline. It's so her face is just perfect.
She's incredible. And this article, if you guys have the time to look at it, it's such a beautiful, just kind of layered piece on her that you can get some insight of who she is, her backstory. Mm-hmm. I mean, she talks about her mother, and I was just tearing up in the article about it. And then she's really a very deep and insightful, thoughtful person. Even her Met Gala look.
Yes.
So she had those crazy white contacts.
Yes.
And she was completely inspired by who? Alexander McQueen. Remember when he did all those kind of gothic, well, he was always gothic, but he had some shows where they had black contacts or clear, milky contacts. And again, just giving it that little androgynous kind of alien-like look, which I thought was just...
She looked so cool at the Met. Who is the designer?
The designer, I think it was Dior. Take a look. I think it was Dior for that. I'm going to have to look it up.
I'm looking right now. It is Prada.
Prada. It was Prada. Then we have, oh my gosh, let's go into Cassie's fashion.
Yes.
Cassie is your epitome of girl. I mean, you have got the Cassie vibe today. Pink, feminine, Marc Jacobs. I mean, the bikini or
oh my God.
It wasn't even a bikini. It was like a one piece, but it was the under boob kind of, like pink bathing suit where she pukes in the hot tub. Oh my God,
which was so disgusting when she puked. But anyways, that bikini, it was so funny how whenever she like put the bikini on to kind of show off in front of Nate, because Nate was there with Maddie, but she always looks amazing.
She always does. And you could tell in that scene, like it was so intentional because Maddie's usually the one with the underboob, very daring, whereas she's always a little step back. And it was like, nope, she wanted Nate to see her for all of her glory. And then the milkmaid outfit.
Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious. I love how you could tell that she was so in her head about like wanting him to see her and be the most iconic version of herself, The one
where they thought she was trying out for Oklahoma.
Yes.
But she looked beautiful.
She did. If anyone could pull it off, so Cassie could.
Yeah.
Then we have Alexa Demi, who plays Maddie Perez. She so has that Kourtney Kardashian vibe.
She does.
She's wearing meow, like a meow. What's that? Is it meow?
Yeah.
Like a lot of her stuff throughout the season.
Yeah.
For her birthday scene, I did not know this, but she was wearing a Marc Jacobs dress with a little ruffle across the top and little charms hanging off where the little bows would be attached to the straps. And they had M's for Marc Jacobs, but Maddie, little nod to her. I love the attention to detail.
Me too.
And then I did not know she was wearing some vintage Chanel and Mugler. I was like,
really?
Whoa. They were really giving her Kardashian vibes this season.
It
was pretty cool. And then the cat eye. That's her signature.
It is. I'm looking at her right now. Yeah. And she's got those adorable little dimples.
Oh, she's
such a cutie.
Interesting fact about her, I did not know that social media had a little thing about her age. People were trying to guess, is she 24? Is she 30?
Really? I guess.
Yeah. And she's actually, apparently she's 30 years old, but she kind of kept it on the DL there for a while.
Probably because she wanted to get those, she didn't want to play a character that was older. Yeah. She still has time to play a younger character.
Oh, she does. And she's so gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, she is epic. Then we have who I think has really come out this season as a fun character is Maude Apatow.
Yes. Okay. Can I just say, aside from like her fashion and makeup and stuff, I want her to get with Fez.
Me too. I love that kind of Beauty and the Beast kind of vibe. I think it's
they were so cute talking on the sofa.
They were adorable.
And that's another thing. That scene where he goes from being so kind and, talking to Lexi to then just beating the crap out of Nate, that juxtaposition, genius.
Oh, they did it so well.
They did.
And I think he is the actor that plays him. Let me look up his name. He is so good.
He is good.
He is amazing.
Angus
Cloud. And by the way, there is an awesome interview with him that I read, and he plays Fezco, so he's the drug dealer to Rue, but he's so much more than that. And he's an interesting guy. He says that his personality is pretty close to Fezco in terms of like his cadence.
He's from Oakland, California.
I think it's so
cool. I bet he does have kind of like that same.
Yeah, he's got the cadence. He's got that low key vibe.
Yeah.
But he was actually found, I think, on basically on the street. Like he's like one of those characters that.
Well, because he looks so much like Mac Miller.
He does.
He looked I really thought that. I'm like, whoa, how did they do that?
I actually would like to know what Ariana Grande thought the first time she saw him, because he literally is like a clone of him. So we go into Maude's look, and she's She actually plays the sister of Cassie, and I think it's really cute to see her, like the Prada / Miu Miu, like it's quirky ladylike theater girl vibes.
She's so cute. She was Bob Ross for Halloween.
I know. I
she's
love
adorable.
That was the best costume ever. And then we have another style evolution out of these girls is Kat. Kat in season 1 was like wearing like the dominatrix BDSM kind of looks that were a little...
After she was like just regular teenage girl jeans t-shirt, then she was dominatrix and she came out.
Oh, she totally did.
She did.
I do like that they matured the look a little bit more.
Yeah. I love her character too.
I do too. And they gave her a less like fan fiction cartoonish vibe this year.
Because she has a boyfriend in the show.
And they gave her more of like what I call that, like, I don't know, like more mature punk vibe, which was very cool. So I don't know. I feel like, Heidi Vivens really has like hit it out of the park. I 100%. Feel like some of the best looks that I see that are being repeated, like you can see them on Rent the Runway, you can see them on Revolve. It's the pastel sweater set or the wrap sweaters that both Maddie and Cassie are wearing. I mean, they're just, everyone can wear those and they're super cute. And then the top that, you may not be able to afford, but you could make is, the pin top where she cut the I hate using the word wife beater tank top, but it's like the white tank top. Yeah. And then she used the safety pins and she wore the beret. Who wore that? That was actually Maddie.
Okay.
And it's such a cute look. I feel like those are like completely doable looks. And they're affordable and you can do them. And they're just kind of iconic, but like still really, really doable.
Super cute. I also think like the meow tops, like the corset tops and everything like that is huge in this show, like you said. So, and corset tops are everywhere. But the cutout dresses, I mean, they're kind of on trend with everything, the cutout dresses and all that stuff.
Oh, they are. They're so fun. And I feel like it would be really fun to have a Euphoria themed party.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be so much fun. I just feel like that's the way to go. Well, let's get into the actual like show. And then I have got to tell you about this a little bit later, about how the names of the characters are literally trending now. People are naming their kids after these characters. But before we get into the fun facts, let's go into the show. So right now, we've got a lot going on. This last night's episode, it was episode 5.
Episode 5, yeah.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I noticed there was hardly any music in that episode.
Right?
Because it was so powerful. It was even more powerful without music.
And I mean, it started out the gate.
It was from beginning to end.
Oh my God. And the acting. I have to actually say, obviously, we want to give mad props to Zendaya. I mean, that was probably we now understand if you didn't love season 1, this is where we know this woman is an award-winning actress.
Oh my God. Oscar, if this was a film, Oscar-winning performance.
100%.
Like, incredible.
And I have to say, Best Supporting Actress has got to go to Nika Ring, who plays Leslie Bennett, her mom. I mean, the pain she conveyed in her eyes, like she's one of the unsung heroes, I think, in the cast because we have an incredible cast. I mean, like there's undeniable, like this season, Sydney Sweeney, who plays Cassie Howard, is like, she's having a moment.
She is, yeah.
And it's not even just a moment. She's
like a butterfly. She's blooming.
She really is. Yeah. And this woman, I mean, when we want to talk about somebody who is doing stuff. So if you want to know a little bit more about her, she started out in the show called Everything Sucks. And then from there, you probably know her from Handmaid's Tale because that was like her first big moment. Then there was this really dark, amazing show that was on, I believe it was HBO and Amy Adams. It was called Sharp Objects. So good. And she was a character in it that wasn't a main character, but my God, her acting chops in this was really good. White Lotus.
Yeah.
I mean, White Lotus, you and I were into.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And she showed her comedy acting chops here, which was kind of fun.
She's only 24 years old.
I know.
Well, let's see how old Zendaya is, because I know she's young too.
I mean, these are young.
This is like, she's 25. The next gen of like incredible actors.
100%. She was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which
really?
I was like, oh my gosh. And it was interesting because here's a fun fact. She actually played the character Snake, which was a part of Charlie Manson's crew. The real Snake came to the premiere, which was so weird. I was like, that is so bizarre. I always think it would be hard to play a character that was in something that dark, like involved in something that dark. But anyway, then she did on Amazon. There's 2 movies. She did Nocturne, and then the movie that she got a little flack for was The Voyeurs, because she had a lot of nudity in that.
She always has a lot of nudity,
and I'm all right with it.
Me too.
I mean,
her body is like everyone's goals. So I mean, I don't know about everyone's, but
and she's empowered by it. Like
she is. It's to me, it's so weird. Like when she's. The one thing I will say about Euphoria is there's a lot of nudity in the first season, but the second season, it's a little like less. It's a little more tasteful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I felt like in the nudity in season 1 of Cassie, I felt like it was still like, I didn't feel gross about it.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's like, I don't know if that's going to come across bad.
No, I don't think so, because her character is supposed to be somebody who, she comes, I mean, the backstory with her dad, he dies, and like her whole sense of self is through the male gaze. So, you're watching her kind of navigate being this like sex bomb, but like a good girl.
Yeah.
And trying to be in her body, but kind of like be friends with Maddie, who is like the epitome of like a strong female.
Yes.
And trying to find her footing. And I think she does it very vulnerable. And I think they do it in a really good way.
I think so too.
So she's a little badass though, because, she's been doing the circuits lately on the talk shows. And she's from Spokane, Washington. And she comes from a really conservative background. She talked about that her grandma and her dad only got through 5 minutes of like the first episode because there was so much going on with her nakedness.
Yeah.
But she laughs about it and was just like, hey, it's what I'm doing right now. But I love that sense of like, she's just super open in her interviews. And the other thing about her is she's incredibly smart. So during Handmaid's Tale, I read this article that she tried to go to college while filming it. And she actually came from like a pretty amazing scholastic pedigree, if you will. She was the valedictorian in her high school, and then she made the dean's list in college. And it was crazy because she came back to take the final for her business degree, and apparently the class had such a fit because she was making all these great grades, and they were like, it's not fair, she didn't have a good attendance and she shouldn't be able to take the class. So she was telling the story in the article, and she also retold it on the Drew Barrymore show. And you could see this sense of frustration of like, everything I do it well. And I'm not trying to skirt around any and get any kind of special treatments. It's important to be smart. It's important to be like all encompassing. And Drew Barrymore was so cute because she's like, I know you're going to get that degree. And I was like, I thought it was
You said it just like her too.
So Drew. And then the other thing that was interesting is I had no idea. She's super into architecture and design. She was describing her house and like picking out all these different wallpapers. And then the thing that really blew my mind, apparently on her TikTok, she restores old cars. And she just restored a 1969 Bronco. Like we're talking like,
oh my God,
replacing
that's my dream
axles.
Car.
It is?
Yes. A 1969 Ford Bronco is my dream car.
Shut the front door.
Yeah. I think hers is blue, right?
I think so.
That's my dream car. I think she posted that on her Instagram too. I saw it. Oh my God.
That is hilarious.
She's like the epitome of like, American Girl.
Now, this is like just low key. I did not know that her and Halsey are best friends.
Yeah, they did. What'd they do together? They filmed something together.
Well, I read that she bought the film rights to this book. It's basically like a prep school murder mystery. It's called The Players Club.
Yes.
And she basically was like, I want to do a film with my best friend.
Yeah. They did like a really cute photo shoot.
Oh, I love
it. Like they both look amazing.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. She's really interesting. I have to say she was the last little bit on her that I loved was she was asked at a press conference if she needs to get rid of the heaviness of Euphoria. And the way she answered it I thought was super cool. She said, I make the character so separate from myself. I'm able just to jump in and out of it. I'm able to move in and out really fast. I've never been stuck in a character. And what I love about that is, again, it's that sense of, you see all these actors who method act and they get very dark and broody. And I think it's super healthy to look at a character for just what it is. It's a character. Yeah. You're going into it. You care about the character, but as soon as filming stops, you go back to your life. You work on your 1969 Bronco. You go hang out with Halsey.
Yeah.
So
but
low-key.
I think that's would be really hard to do.
I think it takes a lot of maturity.
I think, and especially for someone so young.
Yeah.
Like that is because I feel like a lot of long running characters, for example, Carrie Bradshaw, Sarah Jessica Parker is Carrie Bradshaw and vice versa.
Yes.
They're the same person. I feel like they grew up together, so they became the same person. But to have that maturity and that self-awareness to say, this is my character, this is my life, that's really cool.
I think it's...
And healthy, like you said.
Yes, and there needs to be more actresses out there like it. Apparently, she had... a moment that was, I think it was on Twitter, and she was doing a photo shoot, and it was, I think, for a lingerie company is what I read. And she kind of had a meltdown online, and it was like someone recorded it like a jerk and like posted it everywhere. And she came back and was really vulnerable about talking about, even on my best days, even when I'm together, she was like, I ended up doing something stupid to my body to help me feel less bloated. I was emotional, and I got online and I kind of just word vomited all over the place. And she goes, but I'm human. Yeah. And I love to see that as well. And I think that when I saw her and Drew Barrymore talk, that's the other reason why I really appreciate Drew, is because, Drew was a wild child.
Yeah.
Drew was a child actress. And I think she's got so much vulnerability that to encourage that in women of your vulnerability doesn't make you weak. You can still have those moments, but, as long as you take responsibility for it and then hopefully, move past them and do great things like she's doing now. She's fantastic.
She is. That's really cool. And what's crazy is I didn't even know that. I don't feel like, and I feel like I keep up with like what's going on in entertainment pretty good. So the fact that she didn't make it a big deal,
yes,
is really good. I feel like sometimes, which I have never been in that situation, so I can't even imagine what that's like. But if someone does something to you that hurts you, or says something about you that's untrue, or misconstrues a situation, and then you want to correct it, you want to call it out, but sometimes that makes it worse.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are better left unsaid.
Right.
So I have to go into now. I mean, when I called you today and I was like, oh my God, I had so much fun just going down all these like little rabbit holes.
Which I love. Like what I love about, and this is going off topic for just a second, but what I love about Hey Beauty is like, this is stuff that really, really we care about.
Yeah.
And like makes us excited, and there's a lot of thought that goes behind these episodes. So if you guys like this episode, just give us a subscribe and give us a like. We really appreciate it.
Please.
Anyways,
please.
I
am telling you this. I mean, in terms of making life beautiful, I mean, like this show, just the music alone when I'm in the car. Like this morning, I took a photograph outside my house at City View.
I saw it. It was so beautiful.
I was listening to the Labyrinth soundtrack, and I was like, I just had it in my ears, and I was like, oh my God, this is so gorgeous. I mean, it is. I love art. I love fashion. I love music. I love things that make you feel something or add a little bit of zhuzh to life, whether it's glitter on our lips or it's a throwback to like, an outfit that I wore back in high school that makes me feel fun and youthful again.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, why not add all these? I think in life, sometimes we forget about the small things that we can add into our life. Movies, soundtracks, whatever it may be that just, make us feel good.
Yeah. It's cool, too, to see the people who really are collaborating and contributing because, you brought up that, Drake is an executive producer.
I had no idea. But what's crazy? When I went to follow some of the girls on Instagram, I saw that Drake followed them all. I was like, this guy's a fan. He loves these girls. Then I saw at the end of last night's episode, which was episode 5, I saw his name in the credits. I was like, oh, this makes sense.
Totally.
But doesn't make sense at the same time.
It's so interesting because, he has the acting background from Degrassi days.
Yeah.
I think Zendaya.
Which I forget.
Totally. So. And Zendaya and him, I think, have always been in these kind of,
the same circle and stuff.
And then, it's funny because Sam Levinson, I was doing like a little bit of background on him. And, he's super upfront about a lot of different things. The first one is that he said a lot of Euphoria's addiction storyline was from his own life.
From Sam Levinson's?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
which is sad.
Which is kind of sad, but also really liberating that he gets to kind of
that's a really good takeaway from that.
Working out the demons, in your past and be like,
was
that's not me.
Was it his personal experience or people around him?
Personal experience.
Really?
And he also did a movie called Assassination Nation. And interesting enough, like I love all these overlaps of people who find their tribe and work together.
Yes.
Maude Apatow was in that movie, which was interesting.
The overlapping is crazy.
It is. And the other thing that was so crazy is that Sam and his wife work a lot together. So Ashley Levinson she's a producer as well. And so they've worked together. She's definitely like a sounding board for him on this show. And during the time of COVID, I thought it was really interesting because you can tell Sam Levinson cares about his cast because not only did they do the spinoff from Euphoria to tell Jules' story.
I saw that. I need to watch it. They have Zendaya's too.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then they did, I love it. I guess Zendaya just called him and was like, let's make a movie during COVID. So that's when they did Malcolm and Marie. And they made the movie. How crazy is this? From June 17th to July 2nd. And I love architecture and I love like postmodernism and I love anything that has to do with like just give me lots of modern glass windows, kind of just the vibe of like a SoCal dream. Mm-hmm. And they found this house. It's called the Caterpillar House. And I was reading about it because I was so obsessed with the architecture. An environmentally conscious glass house that's in Carmel, California. And they were like, we're going to film
beautiful.
It. Isn't it insane?
Yes.
It's so gorgeous. And Levinson wrote Malcolm and Marie. And he got David Washington, who is Denzel's son, who's in BlacKkKlansman and Tenet. And he was like, all right, let's do this. And then
so cool.
Lo and behold, the other love of my life, my music life, Kid Cudi, produced Malcolm and Marie with them as well. And I just love, like, we've got Drake, we've got, Zendaya, we've got, Kid Cudi, we've got Maude Apatow. Like, they're just overlapping.
I just saw too. The Weeknd and Sam are coming together to come up with a show called The Idol.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
The Weeknd is now involved in this little mix too, which makes sense.
I love it.
Yeah,
that is so cool. That is so freaking cool. So what has been talking to you storyline wise on the show? Where have you really felt like it kind of hooked you? Because like me, in the beginning, I felt a little bit like, how am I going to connect to this show? What are some of the storylines?
All of them for different reasons. I mean, obviously Zendaya, because she's the narrator of the show. She wasn't really like, I don't really fully connect with that. Let me think about this for a second. What about you while I'm thinking?
You know, I have to say, for me, it's been a couple of different storylines. I think the first storyline that really I could relate to a lot was the friendship between Rue and Jules in the beginning of just, in high school, I was definitely somebody who was on the outskirts. I wasn't like super popular in my own class. I always dated older, and I always hung out with like what I call fringe people.
Fringe people?
Yeah.
What's that?
So fringe people are like at Wichita Southeast High School, there was a group of guys who wore, I hate to say it because it gives you that like creepy school shooter vibe, but like this trench coats, and they listened to The Cure.
Okay.
And they were all great guys. I just cool and different, and they'd, sit around and listen, share the headsets. And then it was funny because I, in turn, always, like, I had the soccer player boyfriend. And, I definitely had my moments of hanging out where I wasn't like the alternative girl. But what I like about the storyline of Rue and Jules in the beginning is this kind of odd, like, kindred spirit, like, and just like loving each other for who they are first.
That was beautiful. That was I loved that there was just like not a lot of talk about it, just like people, like they really were just love each other for who they are. There's no labels, there's no definite terms and definite, they don't speak in that way.
No, and the other thing I love is that, I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of storylines in the past. I think it's getting much better now, especially in the trans community. Like, we had Orange is the New Black. We've had, obviously, the L Word. We've had a lot of characters that have come in.
Just like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of characters that are transgender, but what I love about this show, I think when it comes to how it's conveyed, is we're finally getting our footing to where not everything has to be explained.
Right.
I don't need...
And there doesn't need to be a lot of attention drawn to this.
No.
I didn't even know or think that Jules was transgender until there was just like a small detail, and she was laying on the bed with Rue, and I was like, oh, I think she's transgender.
Yep. And I love how they did it because it's not necessary.
Right. It's
not necessary, because love and connection and body parts, like when I'm talking about love and connection, I'm not talking about genitals or, that kind of thing. So we've got that. We also have the storyline, which to me, they've done so well with Nate and Maddie and Cassie, and depicting toxic masculinity, because Nate, I mean, oh my gosh, I think I hated Nate forever until we got the backstory of his dad, Cal.
Yeah.
And, we really got to see, it's not that you have sympathy as much as you are looking at like the circumstances of where someone comes from and the why of why they are the way they are. I think that with the moment his father says to him, I don't even know who you are, you really see Cal and Nate's like father-son, like where father didn't do the best job for his son.
Yeah.
And then you see Nate now with like wanting to control all the women. He wanted to control Jules. He couldn't. He's trying to control Maddie and Cassie. And I think Maddie represents like like the battle, the fight, the passion in him, like that, like machismo side. And Cassie is like the good girl, more dream-like girl. But it's going to be interesting because I think things are going to come to a head because remember, Maddie still has a sex tape from Nate's room and it's so unclear what's on it. If it's Jules and him or Jules and his dad, we don't know.
It's Jules and his dad. Because that's why Cal keeps trying to get that tape back.
Yeah. I mean, we think it is.
That's true.
I mean, I think Cal, I mean, I think that's it. But, you know, you don't know. But I think it's all going to come to a head.
It is. And that's going to be a major blow up of. Oh, also, we don't know really what happens with Cal yet. He just leaves. Last time we saw him, he just left.
This guy, it's Eric. I'm trying to think what his
He's from Grey's Anatomy. He's McSteamy.
He is McSteamy. It's Eric Dane who plays him.
Yeah.
The other storyline that I think is going to be interesting because there's talk all over the internet is what is going to happen with Elliot.
Oh my gosh. And Jules.
And then also Elliot in general, because he is a drug addict.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the scenes with him and Rue, they kind of foreshadow a little bit of strange melancholiness. There's a scene with Rue and her dad dancing.
Yeah.
And they emulate it with her and Elliot. And there's some talk on the internet that Elliot might die.
Yeah.
And I could see that.
I could too, because someone in this show, I don't think it's going to be Rue. I hope not. I hope no one dies, but someone is going to die from drugs.
Yeah.
And I could see it being Elliot. Did you know, I'm sure you know, that there's talk of Elliot in real life and Jules in real life, like dating.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
There's talk. It's not confirmed yet, but they're like super flirty on the red carpets.
Yeah.
And
they've got such great chemistry.
They do. They have such great chemistry. And I love how their characters are evolving. And like together, you know, because Jules originally like didn't like him.
Yes, I think the only storyline that gives me like low key anxiety is, you know, we know that from this last episode they allude to the fact that after Rue's wild goose chase away from the cops, you know, trying to get her, she does go home. We see upcoming scenes that she's probably going to be in rehab, I'm guessing. What gives me low-key anxiety is the drug dealer.
Oh, my gosh. What a great character also. Like, everyone is so perfect because have we ever seen a drug dealer so calm, which is all really terrifying.
Oh, it is so terrifying.
Her calmness makes her even more terrifying.
But how much did you love? I mean, this was brilliant. When Rue is detoxing, well, I don't know if she's not even detoxing. She's just withdrawal. She's not even close to detoxing. And she's in front of her and she's just looking around the house trying to find her next fix. And here she is in this monotone voice describing the chemicals that are breaking down in your brain. And also the cadence in her voice and the way that dead-eyed stare is like, oh, yeah, you killed your own brain from all of your oxycodone athlete story that she told. And I think what's going to be interesting is I don't think we've seen the last of her.
No, we have not. But it's the scene of her trying to escape the house.
Oh my God.
I thought Hassan was watching that with me and we were like, is Rue going to die? Like, is she going to die? Because they have like, again, just brilliant cinematography and directing. But we have, I forget her name, but the drug dealer, the woman drug dealer, she like tells her that she has intravenous, is that how you say it?
Yeah, intravenous morphine. And Rue doesn't do that. She just, you know, takes the pill. And we see the drug dealer go to the bathtub, but the focus is on the morphine. With the squirrel.
Yes.
With
the squirrel.
It was so like
eerie
because we have like the squirrel with the nut, like when they're like fixated on it, but then also this like innocent little thing with the most dark. I mean, morphine is like
lethal.
Yeah, I mean, just so dark.
Yeah.
And the scene in the bathtub, I mean, where she's injecting it in the vein. I mean, for anyone who criticizes this show about like excessive, sex and drugs, they also balance it out with the downside. I mean, this was such a horrifying scene.
The whole episode.
Oh, and she looks so awful.
She does.
And she's beautiful.
I didn't know Zendaya could look like that, but she does. Like, she really, the most heartbreaking part, I think, was when she's going crazy trying to find this suitcase with her mom, and then she starts crying because she feels bad, but then she gets mad again because she's got to find this suitcase, and then she starts crying again. Just the back and forth of this, I feel like has to be super accurate for how people who have addiction issues might feel when 100%. They're in that fight or flight mode, and then her mom's like trying to protect the younger daughter. Yeah. Oh my God, it was just truly heartbreaking. But back to like the bathtub scene, and we think she might die because it kind of goes back and forth when she is in the bathtub as a child, and her head is kind of going underwater, and then she wakes up, and we're like, oh, this is nice. She tucked her into bed.
Yep.
Then we go out and we see a man asleep with a gun, and we know that she's not.
Oh, 100%. And we also hear, she alludes to the fact of like, well, you may not have money, but you sure got your body.
Yes.
And I mean, that's where you're like, God, did someone have sex with her while she was on, the morphine trip? Like all of the dread that goes into you're in a bad situation, because she threatened her that she would literally bring her into like the sex trade if she didn't. She's going to pay it back somehow. So that's the only thing that gives me low-key anxiety.
It does the same with me too, but I was so glad she got out of that house and got home, but we don't know what's coming next. But now she's out of the house. I think that was what she needed to like snap out of it.
100%. I'm hoping so too. I
really feel like that was it for Rue. I really truly do. Maybe I'm being naive here.
I know we want to root for her so much.
We do.
And that's the beauty about her being the character is there's not a lot of people who can play that vulnerability and then make you hate her, but then you want to still root for her.
Exactly. That scene of her in her house, you're like, why are you saying those things to your mom? But then like, I want to hug you and I feel bad for you and I want to like make you better. And her, it just was so brilliant.
Emotional roller coaster.
It really was.
Well, I mean, I could go on and on about this, but I have to give you a little tea here with tea. Euphoria. So as I was researching all of this to kind of end on a happier note, because I know that we're like, oh my God, we are on like pins and needles for next Sunday.
Yeah.
What I will leave you is that apparently, according to a study carried out by Bella Baby using data from the UK baby names, Euphoria-inspired baby names are literally on the rise in the UK.
Any in particular, like I'm going to guess Rue.
Oh my gosh, yes. So expect to see plenty of Cassie's, Rue's, and Nate's on the playground.
Okay.
And this was according to Cosmo. So I looked up what these names meant because I'm totally into name meaning. So guess what Rue means?
What does Rue mean?
Regret.
No way.
Right?
That was totally intentional.
It has to be intentional.
Yeah.
Cassie is short for Cassandra, and it means purity.
Oh my gosh.
And prophetess, like a prophet.
Yeah.
An individual thought to be in direct contact with the divine being.
Wow.
And that is like when I think the cinematography, and they gave a real nod to kind of that Hispanic kind of like, goddess, like Day of the Dead, roses vibe.
Yeah.
They made her almost into a goddess.
Yeah.
Lexi is derived from the Greek name Alexandra, means defender of man.
Oh.
Interesting how it correlates with this whole kind of thing with Nate, of like she like defends him through and through.
Lexi does?
Sorry, not Lexi. Sorry. I'm
Maddie.
sorry. Maddie. No, I'm sorry. This is Lexi. It's not my wrong note. With Fez.
Oh, with Fez. Yes.
That's why I'm like that. That's what I meant to say, not Nate. I think it's so interesting that she's like she's kind of interested in him.
And
kind of defending him as a guy of like, well, maybe he's not that bad.
Uh-huh.
Maddie. Now Maddie is short for Madeline or Madison, and it derives from a woman of Magdala, meaning of a young unmarried woman. And it is completely like strong, independent vibes.
Oh.
For sure, in the name. And then Jules derives from the word youthful, which again, she's got that innocence to her. She's like looking through like love glasses. And then the last two, I had to laugh. Nate is derived from Nathan. And literally, Nate means meaning to give or gift. I'm like, he is so not a gift.
No.
He's someone I want to just put like give back and get the return receipt on and like, I don't know, return for something else. But Fezco is just epic. First found in it's a province of France. So it's Auvergne or Auvergne, I think, in central France. It's a name of someone who lives near a grove of beech trees. I love that it's like from the Ottoman Empire because he's got that so like vibe. Then he's got co in it like he's like a whole freaking company, you know. So
but he is.
He is.
That's so interesting though.
Isn't
Those were intentional for sure.
They totally were. I have to say though, it was cool to kind of do a little bit of fun facts in there.
Yeah.
Because again, who knew that these names were going to be like, you know, back in the mix. Rue is a really interesting one, though.
I like that name.
I do, too.
What name would you be? Would you be Rue out of all of them?
You know, it's tough because now that I know it means regret, you know, I would want to be like, no regrets.
Yeah.
Like the bad tattoo.
Regrets.
No regrets. I don't know. I think I've always liked the name. I was almost named Alexandria.
Oh,
so
you
Lexi,
were?
I think that's.
I could see you being a Lexi.
Yeah. I can totally do that. How about you?
I love the name Rue. I don't like the meaning of it, but I don't know, Maddie or Cassie, probably.
Yeah. It's interesting to see.
I'd go by Cassandra though.
Yeah, I would too. I
like Cassandra.
Well, I love doing this.
This was so
good. So much fun. I had so much fun dressing up today. I feel like epically Y2K.
Me too. If you want to see what we're wearing, make sure to go to our YouTube at Hey Beauty Podcast, and then also follow us on Instagram at Hey Beauty Podcast. We're going to post our outfit of the day like we do on our reels every time we film. So if you want to see what we're wearing and where you can buy it, then check us out there.
And please, if you like this episode or if you have any thoughts on Euphoria, please comment.
Yes.
And join our Instagram, the Hey Beauty Podcast Instagram, and let us know like your thoughts as well. Coming up next week, we are going to have an episode on basically what's going on with us health and exercise wise. We're at this, you know, we're at a point in time in our lives where it's like, you know, I've always had it. I've always been health focused. I mean, obviously I teach yoga, I teach Pilates, and bar, but I also have really been thinking a lot about what I'm putting into my body. And shout out to Daily Harvest. I'm going to be talking to you a lot about putting more plant-based foods in my diet, and then also talking a little bit about how I've changed up my yoga classes and where I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about my alcohol-free living and how that's impacted my health. I don't do it because of any other reason other than I just don't like alcohol that much and, you know, religious reasons. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're so excited. If you don't know Seraphiend, she is like goals for life, like at any age and any stage of life. Like I want to follow everything she's doing because she's doing it perfectly. So make sure you don't miss out on that episode. Like, subscribe so you don't miss anything.
I love you. I will take that compliment and put it in my back pocket.
I'm not even just like tooting her horn. Like if you haven't never seen Seraphiend, like she's goals.
I love you. I love you guys. You guys are amazing for listening. I love you, Chelsea.
I love you.
I cannot wait to talk to you next week. And thanks again. And we will see you on the other side. Bye-bye.